Hey guys, this is Kevin from Manual, and this is the first video in a 5-part series on the basics of JavaScript. Today we're going to be covering variables, and we are going to be using an imagery oriented approach to make them jump off the page and come to life. So let's get into it. So here's a basic piece of JavaScript. I don't expect you to understand all of this at once, but I just wanted to put this out there to show why we need variables in the first place. As you can see in the top left, this is where we're creating the variables. That's called declaring them. And then if you look throughout the rest of the script, they come up time and time again. And the reason we need these variables is so we can carry different values throughout our script, and we don't have to state them one by one every single time. So let's just look at this basic snippet here. It says var days equals 20, and this is called declaring the variable. And you can tell that you're doing this by the var that's out in front, and then you give it a value using the assignment operator, otherwise known as the equals sign. But this is obviously pretty dry, so let's jump into the truck analogy here. This truck image does a pretty good job of showing the two parts of the variable. On the left, you have the name, and on the right, you have the value. And once you have declared it, then you can always drive this truck around your script and change the value whenever you want. But you have a clear container here. To show that a little more specifically, the thing you want to look for when you're looking at the variable is that equal sign, or the assignment operator. And on the left of it, you can tell what the name is, and on the right is the value. Alright, so far we've just been covering numbers, but there are other things that you can load up into your variable truck. So, for example here, this is what's known as a string. So you still declare the variable using the var notation, and then you use the assignment operator still. But then the last piece is you now have something that's wrapped up in quotes, and then you know it's a string or a word as opposed to a number. The number had no quotes. It works the exact same way as the previous variable we looked at, where you have the name that characterizes this little truck, and then it's carrying the value, which is active. One more type of variable is the Boolean, and Boolean is kind of like a switch. It can either be true or false. You still declare it, and then you only have two options. And so you commonly see these in scripts where you want to have a bunch of things depend on the status of one variable, and it's very easy to track it using a Boolean. Works in the exact same way. On the left, you load up your the name of your little truck, and on the right, you load up the value. Alright, changing the value of the variable. So far, we've only been declaring the variable, and now we're going to talk about how to change the value. So here we can see a quick example of declaring and then changing a value. And again, just look for that equal sign that shows the distinction between the name and then the value. And as you can see on line 2, we're only assigning this new value. We're not declaring a new variable, and that's why you don't have to put var in front of it. Let's return to the truck analogy here. As we can see, in line 1 of the previous example, we had var days equals 20, so we load up our truck with the value of 20. But then, when we change it to 10, we need to change the value that's in the truck. And that's all our second line does, is we're still tracking that days variable, but now just the value in the bed of that truck is different. Okay, so here we have a quick exercise. Change the value of the site variable to inactive. And as you can see right now, it's active. And so this is just a test of whether we know how to change the value of a variable. So all I need to do here is do site equals inactive. Whoops. And then, as we can see here, the value of the site variable magically changes to inactive, and that's now what it's carrying around your script if you want to reference it later. All right, one more exercise here. We have add 10 to the value of the variable days. And so what we really want to do here is just do days equals days plus 10. There we go, space that out. And as we can see in our little animation here, we go to days plus 10. But what does that even mean? Because now we're mixing names and values on the right side of the equation. Well, when you see days appear on the right side of the equation, you now know that you're referencing the value of it. So when you say days equals days plus 10, you look up to the previous line, you see that days is actually equal to 10 itself, and so what this is going to evaluate to is 20, or 10 plus 10, right there. But the reason you know that you're changing a value is because it's on the left side of the equal sign versus the right side. All right, last small part here, ending your statement. So here we have the example from previous in the code. We've got declaring it in line 1 and then changing the value in line 2. And if you forget your semicolons, here's what that ends up looking like. You end up having two equal signs in the same line, and the browser is not going to know how to read the 20 and the days in the same line. So you need those equal signs to say that the statement ended in each case. So here we go. We're going to return to the truck analogy, and all we did in line 1 was declare a variable days of 20 and then stick that stake in the ground to say the statement's over. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. And if you're interested in learning more, you can check out my Medium profile in the first link there, or you can go to the manual site itself, the second link, and look at all the tutorials related to CSS, JavaScript, SQL, you name it. A bunch of beginner topics are covered.